Okay, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everybody. Today is Monday, November 29th, 2021, and you know what? There's not that much to report on today. I don't expect this to be a long Kraken. I almost didn't do a Kraken, but I figured there was just enough to report on, so we're going to start with the Omicron stuff, but with that being said, I'm going to be maybe 2-3 minutes on it tops, because, again, when I go on Twitter and I go and check the news section, I go on Reddit, I go on, I check the mainstream media and all that stuff for the sake of, the show, comparing what's being reported compared to what is probably actually happening because, the media lies so much. Again, you see headlines like the world reacts to the Omicron virus. No. We're not reacting. We're trying to take an unbiased approach, as I would imagine others like yourself are probably trying to do until the media tries to instill an emotional response. So again, first thing is that the Omicron variant causes, quote, mild disease. The chairwoman of the South African Medical Association says this is according to the Times of India. So again, you could technically say mainstream media relative to the country of India, the nation of India. It's not often that we read within the West, within Europe, the India Times, but I'm sure there are many out there that do, especially in India. I'm sure it's probably one of the top outlets, if not the top one. Don't quote me on that. But speaking of which, the United Kingdom is set to, quote, boost the booster vaccination campaign amid Omicron, says Prime Minister Boris Johnson. In addition to that, everyone who arrives in the UK will be required to take a PCR test on day 2 and self-isolate until a negative result is returned. Contacts of suspected Omicron cases will be required to self-isolate for 10 days. To me, it's just another push to, again, whether it's with Fauci, whether it's with others, again, from my understanding, I don't mean to push disinformation pertaining to Omicron, so I have to be careful, especially with this YouTube algorithm, automatically picking things up and whatnot, but from my understanding, there is no evidence to suggest it is more deadly than Delta, for example. What I find convenient, again, is just an opinion, take this as you will, read between the lines here, folks. What I find convenient is that, again, it attacks the young, and also Omicron attacks the young allegedly, and it also allegedly creates myocarditis and heart attacks. Really think about that one, folks. What have we been hearing and seeing relative to independent sources saying that the side effects of the Pfizer vaccine is causing the myocarditis and the heart attack. So again, the timing is interesting. I'm not saying either direction. Decide for yourself, and I truly mean that. I'm not trying to be sarcastic, but again, read between the lines, see what I'm trying to say here. The next thing is that Biden was spotted shopping inside a store in Nantucket over the weekend without wearing a mask despite a sign mandating them. He has repeatedly urged Americans to wear masks. Again, yes, where's the consistency? There's a disconnection with the average person, and we know this. I don't mean to be a broken record. So, speaking of broken records, South Africa's President Ramaphosa urges vaccination to, quote, restore social freedoms amid the rise of the Omicron variant. Again, we don't know if he was told by intelligence agencies, secretly, covertly, listen, go with our narrative, go with pushing this, and ultimately, we'll do something for you, this or that. It's basic human negotiation. I'm not saying that's what happened, but we have to consider it because of how often we're lied to. Truthfully, right? Speaking of which, speaking of lies, a major M7.5 earthquake had struck Peru, I believe, today, as of the day I'm recording this, if I am not mistaken, if not late yesterday, Sunday. Again, this is what I mean. We don't know if it's controlled, if it's legitimate or not. This is the thing. I think of, is there an earthquake? How many people did it potentially kill? Are these earthquakes part of a bigger, larger plan of sorts? And I'm not trying to be conspiratorial. It's just, again, we got to speculate because we see the timing of things being very, very interesting. There are coincidences, don't get me wrong, but, as many say, there's no such thing as coincidences, but there's also no such thing as conspiracies. So, take that as you will, right? I know I just contradicted myself, but that's the point of playing both sides. Anyways, Bob Linsky, who says he is a former associate of Hunter Biden, will tell the world, according to the New York Post, that, quote, there is no question that the big guy is Joe Biden within that email. I'm sure it is, but the question is what's going to happen after this comes out, if this comes out. Right? Again, I would dare to say a lot of it already has, but nothing's happened, right? Disclosed TV, for those that follow, just did a poll this morning asking its I guess you could say its readers, if you will, what they think is going to come of the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. I think 45%, just over, majority of people said nothing. They chose the nothing option. Nothing will come of this, right? They gave an option. Do you think the high-profile elites will be exposed? Yada, yada, yada. Most people chose nothing. And, it's unfortunate, but I'm trying to get the word out on Twitter myself, along with Maria Farmer, as many of you know, but we'll see what happens there. The next thing is that Nasdaq has suspended trading in Twitter with reports that Jack Dorsey is stepping down. According to CNBC, Jack Dorsey is expected to step down as the Twitter CEO. I'm just reading this out to you folks as the timeline occurred. It is, as of the time I'm recording this, it is official that he is stepping down. Jack Dorsey and Twitter's board have reportedly settled on his successor. Twitter stakeholder Elliott Management tried to replace Jack Dorsey in 2020. A powerful GOP donor, Paul Singer, is the founder and co-CEO of the Elliott Management hedge fund with a seat on Twitter's board. Singer frequently donates to Jewish and pro-Israel causes. Twitter shares surged 11% in pre-market trading on the news. This is from Disclosed TV. I just wanted to say that again. I don't like the way in which they phrase this whole, he donates to Jewish and pro-Israel causes with respects to implying that sort of form of, this is where it gets icky because, again, it's about the Zionists. It's not about the Jewish people. Just like it's not about the Chinese people, it's about the CCP. I would have not worded it in that regard. I would dare to say that this individual with more research has been known to donate to causes that are more Mossad influenced, because I don't want to just put, Jews all in one big basket, so to speak. I know some of you have, respectfully accused me of defending Jews. Others have said, no, he's not. Again, I try and play it down the middle. I try and toe the line. If I'm not also mistaken, unless things have changed financially, Twitter also has a major ownership by a Saudi prince. So again, take that as you will. The next thing is that CTO Parag Agrawal will replace Jack Dorsey as the CEO. Former CTO and new Twitter CEO Agrawal, in November 2020 interview of last year, said, quote, "Our role is not to be bound by the First Amendment. We're focusing less on thinking about free speech, but thinking about how the times have changed," end quote. Again, this would substantiate what was stated here relative to what individuals and regular people like you and myself have said about how the Constitution, the American Constitution, is the last piece of document in the way of Klaus Schwab's New World Order. I mean, I know it was a joke a year ago, but now it's being spoken about seriously, and we're seeing that nothing is impossible relative to what we would consider to be tinfoil hat conspiracies, and now they're truth. So take that as you will. The next thing is that Lin Wood has released a recording of what purports to be a phone call between Wood and Michael Flynn on Telegram. He was, I believe, Trump's lawyer or part of with Sidney Powell thing, the KRAKEN case there with the election fraud and what have you. I believe that also Kyle Rittenhouse said that Lin Wood had the money to bail him out many months ago, except that Lin Wood pocketed the money for himself. So again, I'm not trying to talk bad about him. These are just the recent events pertaining to Mr. Wood as I understand them. So again, take that as you will. Now, Lin Wood released a recording of what purports to be a phone call between Wood and Michael Flynn on Telegram. What I find interesting about this, though, is that this may be a distraction from maybe the harassment Wood is receiving from when Kyle Rittenhouse said on Tucker Carlson that Lin Wood screwed him over, so to speak. It could be a distraction, could be legitimate. But we see here, according to the Daily Mail, that during this call, the man said to be Michael Flynn attempts to disown QAnon, claiming it is, quote, a disinformation campaign created by the CIA, end quote. Again, take that as you will, folks. We can debate this so much. I'm not even trying to say, not speak on it because it's controversial. I don't know. So again, it could very well be. I would not rule it out, truly. And I'm not saying that because I'm a fan of Michael Flynn personally. I'm not a fan. I don't know where I stand with respects to my views on him, truthfully. The next thing is that more than 20 have been killed in an attack on the DR Congo and displaced a person's camp. At least 22 people were killed in an attack on a camp for internally displaced people in the Ituri province. Again, ego and it is driving all of this nonsense. And I don't mean to make it seem like I have the answer to everything, but that's what seems to be the case here. Ego, id, constant infighting, gangs, rebels. Again, who suffers? The innocent ones, right? The next thing is that 30 endangered South African white rhinos were flown to Rwanda, right? White rhinos, which can weigh up to 2 tons, traveled some 3,400 kilometers as part of a program to replenish the species population. Great. Good to see. That's why I wanted to put this in here. The next thing is that Kyrgyzstan opposition, or Kyrgyzstan, please forgive me if I did not, I know there's a difference. I just want to make sure I'm pronouncing this right. Kyrgyzstan, Kyrgyzstan opposition, cries foul after tense election. I believe they had an election this past weekend, and the results were announced yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. Irregularities reported in the parliamentary vote after the Election Commission's website appeared to suffer technical problems. Notice how there's election fraud happening all over the world. I can't help but think maybe this was an innocent mistake, but again, the probability on that mathematically is getting lower and lower these days. Again, intelligence operations, things like this, We don't know, foreign hackers, contractors, proxy hackers, countries. Again, we can only speculate. So let's move on from that, unfortunately. But let's hope that it gets resolved, and we will be following up on it. The next thing is that Barbados is set to become a republic, ditching the British Queen. They will replace Queen Elizabeth II as the head of state as the Caribbean island distances itself from its colonial past. Again, if this is what the people want, so be it. As you folks know, I'm very simple in that regard. Honduras is set for its first female president as Castro holds a wide lead. With more than half the votes counted, Xiomara, Xiomara, hopefully I didn't butcher that, Xiomara Castro has had lead of 20 percentage points over the ruling party candidate Asfura. Again, assuming it's legitimate, so be it. The next thing is that Venezuela's Maduro calls the European Union election observers spies. The observers' reported polls saw better conditions than previous years, but raised concerns over some practices. I don't rule that out. I really don't. And I'm not trying to say that to side with Maduro, but I don't. Again, this is the thing with Western media. People who follow that mainstream system of things, stuck in the European Western type NATO umbrella type matrix, say, "Oh, you agree with Maduro, so you're against democracy. You hate America." Yeah, no. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we should not believe neither or until we can ascertain the veracity of it. But of course, we never will. So we got to assume it's not a lie, but it's not the truth either. That's just my opinion, right? The next thing is that riot hit Solomons begins cleanup as more foreign troops arrive. Honiara residents are cleaning up streets after deadly riots as Australia dispatches more police to keep the peace. Again, Australia's fallen, in my opinion. That's it. It's over. I'm sorry, but hopefully it could come back. But I think it will take the rest of the world to disseminate that type of push from the people. And that's no disrespect to the people out there at this very moment protesting in Australia. I have tremendous respect for you folks. The ones, peacefully protesting, really trying to make a point here, trying to outlast the politicians who are trying to outlast you before they hope that you go back to work and forget about all this, right? I really do have a lot of respect. The next thing is that Sweden's first female prime minister has now been reappointed to the top job after political turmoil forced her to resign within hours of taking the post last week. MPs backed Social Democratic Party leader Magdalena Andersson by a narrow margin in a new vote on Monday. I believe that today, which is the day I'm recording this, first she was announced as Sweden's first female prime minister, and then she stepped down because apparently she didn't have a majority, if I'm not mistaken. It was pointless almost, and then now she's back. She will attempt to lead a one-party government until an election in September of next year. Again, this is what's been decided as long as the process was, traditional and uncorrupted relative to what's been designed and how they vote and elect there, so be it. I would imagine maybe people are happy about this. I don't know the internal politics, so I don't want to comment. The final thing is that 7 people, including a 3-year-old, have died on Tanzania's Pemba Island after eating poisonous turtle meat. Again, they don't know the official causes. They believe that the scientists that are looking into it at the moment believe that they can link it to something. But again, these are, I don't want to call them anomalies of nature because, again, look at what we talk about on this show here. Almost nothing seems to be an anomaly these days, right? So even not just these days, but in the past as well. So again, we will follow up on that story. There is a connection I've already made for that within the members section. So we will be seeing that in the next members only episode. But other than that, folks, thank you so very much for watching and listening. And we'll catch you all very soon. We got a public episode coming for those on the public. We got lots coming for the members too in the coming hours. So without further ado, cheers.